Good evening. You're watching Views at 7 with Mahnoor Qureshi. Pakistan is once again on the front line of multiple strategic challenges, from the martyrdom of Rangers personnel in Karachi to intelligence-based operation in Balochistan. The country continues to fight battle against terrorism. Even if Pakistan secure its own border, there are a lot of issues that are unfolding beyond its border, and tonight's Views at 7 will discuss about those issues, as well as we are just talking about the Middle Eastern crisis. Despite the efforts to mediate tensions between US and Iran, the recent violation of ceasefire, the recent exchange of attack, actually questioning the stability of this ceasefire. We'll discuss about that and unfold different aspects related to it. As we are discussing about the challenges which Pakistan is facing right now, there is another very important challenge which Pakistan is trying to control, trying to provide dossiers to the world, trying to negotiate, trying to solve this issue with dialogue. I'm talking about the water weaponization by India, how India is violating Indus Water Treaty, and how is it impacting millions of people in Pakistan, and how it would impact the economy of the country, and it is sheer violation of the international treaty. We'll discuss about that, but we'll start with the security issue which Pakistan is facing right now, as Pakistan's security forces have intensified the intelligence-based counter-terrorism operation, with 3 Pakistani Rangers personnel martyred in terrorist attack on their Karachi headquarters, while the militants were killed in separate operation across Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The renewed security drive comes as Pakistan continued to play an active diplomatic role in promoting the regional peace, including facilitating dialogue helped to reduce tensions in the Middle East, reflecting Pakistan's simultaneous efforts to combat terrorism at home and to contribute to regional stability abroad as well. To discuss about that, to unfold different aspects related to it, we are joined by our defense analyst, Major General Retired Zahid Mahmood. Major General Retired Zahid Mahmood, welcome to the show as we are discussing about the challenges which Pakistan is facing right now. Despite the challenges, despite the security issues, we are trying to mediate and we are trying to promote the stability in the region, as Pakistan has intensified recently their operations, intelligence-based operations, while also playing a diplomatic role in the regional peace towards the world. How it is important and what needs to be done to manage both deterrence and diplomacy at the same time?
Thank you very much, Mahnoor, for having me at your show. It is always a pleasure. Pakistan is a significant state. Pakistan is a significant country. Pakistan has the capacities, Pakistan has the capabilities to work on all fronts. So Pakistan can progress, Pakistan can contribute in all domains, including diplomacy and military. Pakistan is cognizant of the application which is there against Pakistan to, weaken Pakistan. Primarily, the inimical forces, especially led by the structured application of India through this terrorism, that is really impacting Pakistan. But Pakistan is cognizant of this application, and Pakistan is taking measures. So it's not only in the military domain, but in other domains also. Pakistan is mounting the response. As far as diplomacy is concerned, there were lot many efforts to weaken Pakistan stance on stability and peace. So they always there were forces which wanted to portray Pakistan as a terrorist country, isolate Pakistan diplomatically. But Alhamdulillah, because of our primarily originating and from the notion of victory of Marka-e-Haq, Pakistan took the route of achieving stability in the region. And Pakistan is taking full advantage of their leverage of having friendship with United States of America, of their friendship with China, with Russia, with European Union now, with the regional countries, especially in our neighborhood, and our best friendship with Iran also, including our strategic partnership in the Gulf countries. So Pakistan is all over. So Pakistan is taking full advantage of this accumulative leverage, and that's why they're executing this task of strategic intercalator. So Pakistan, as I said, has the capacity and capabilities, and that's why Pakistan is performing well and will continue to do so.
The even from Markai Haq to this Islamabad MOU, we have shown to the world that we are a peaceful nation. But when it comes to the security of our border, when it comes to the security of our people, we know what to do and how to secure our own people. To discuss about that, to unfold this aspect of warfare, which we are actually facing right now, and Pakistan is trying to promote stability in the region through mediation, while on the other hand we have seen that our emergence as a regional player is considered as a threat to our neighboring country. To discuss about that, we are joined by Dr.Maria Sultan, who is a security analyst. Dr. Maria, welcome to the show. We cannot deny, even the world cannot deny, the prominence which Pakistan has gained in the recent past. So what do you think, that is there a pattern suggesting that the terrorist attacks increase whenever Pakistan gains diplomatic prominence on the international stage, or is that an overstatement or just my observation?
Well, there is no two opinions about it. Unfortunately, we are dealing with a security paradox in which we are dealing with a security corridor, which has been established with Israel, with India, and most importantly, also some other members of the Gulf country. So, technically speaking, this is something which we are facing consistently. So, right now, since Pakistan is also involved with the Middle Eastern security architecture, the only way they think they can contain Pakistani role and to bring down Pakistan's international stature is to carry out these kind of heinous terrorist activities against Islamabad. And in this, there is nothing hidden about it. The Indian government, Indian military, Indian establishment has gone on record saying this thing that they will use these actions and they will use these tactics in order to bring Pakistan down. So this is what we're dealing with. Unfortunately, Afghanistan is turning out to be a launching pad for them, and that's where most of the regime instability of the Afghan regime seems to, be tied to the Indians, and it's been tied to the fact that there is consistent terrorist activities in Islamabad, in Pakistan, in Karachi, in Lahore, and in different parts of the country. So it's unfortunate, but this is the reality.
Maria, what do you think, that to what extent are the hostile external actors exploiting the militant groups to undermine Pakistan's internal stability and obviously the foreign policy objectives of Pakistan in this time, which is a very important and critical time for Pakistan?
Well, it's not just about they exploiting this, it's just the fact that they are the ones who are consistently doing all of this. So, technically speaking, this is something which is consistently being managed. This is something in which they think that they can bring Islamabad down. And so, we are dealing with it as a policy, we are dealing with it as a structural threat to Pakistan. Terrorism is not just an isolated event in the case of Pakistan, but we are faced with state based terrorism, which is happening on consistent basis against Pakistan. So if we have to rectify that, we need to highlight what is actually happening and most importantly, also to respond back effectively on this issue.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Dr. Maria Sultan, for
Thank you.
joining in Views at 7 and sharing your views with us. So, moving forward towards you, General Zahid, considering this situation as we have discussed about, that Pakistan is getting the prominence and what our neighboring countries is doing right now by using the Afghan soil. So what do you think, that have the recent intelligence-based operations significantly, degraded the operations capability of terrorist networks in Pakistan?
Look, Mahnoor, we need to understand that this is a huge application. Uh, Application in Balochistan is quite strategic in nature. So that's not only one country involved in that. So there's a complete red syndicate which has their application in Balochistan, and we have a very serious situation. But anyways, as I said, Pakistan has the capacities and capabilities. Pakistan is dealing there. Of course, as far as the kinetic application is concerned, that's very clear. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, we have a kind of a tactical application, but again, Pakistan is responding, and Pakistan's policy for Afghanistan is working. We need to have a strategic patience. These things take time because this terrorism is here in this part of the world since almost now 2.5, 3 decades. So after the Russian war, then we have 20 years of American application, then Taliban rules. So a lot has happened in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, these leaders, so-called the children of conflict, I call them, they are not governing Kabul for the people of Afghanistan. So they become a kind of a constant, irritating elements in the region, and not only threatening Pakistan, but they're destabilizing the peace in the whole region. And rather, the transnational terrorism is taking place. That's why the statements coming from various forums, from various countries, from various conferences, from the researches. So all are talking about negativities, what all are happening inside Afghanistan. So we have a disarrayed, ill-organized state at our neighborhood. But Pakistan will continue with this policy. We need to have patience, and hopefully, with more political clarity, more political ownership, and with precise military application, I think we'll be able to win this war. At the end of the day, it may take some time, but it's a huge task. And most importantly, we need to understand another aspect of it. You look, fighting terrorism, fighting the terrorist is no big issue. That Pakistani military and our security forces will be able to do that. But fighting terrorism is a national responsibility. So, for a whole of a nation approach has to be applied. Every citizen of Pakistan in this hybrid warfare, being the center of gravity of Pakistan, has to defend himself, has to perform. So, we have to, as a society, we have to develop and inculcate the habits of security. That's how we are going to, fight this war. It's a possible thing, and inshallah you will see that Pakistan will succeed once again very soon. But consistency is required in your policies and your approach.
You have rightly mentioned, General Zahid, that we need to take the ownership, we need to pinpoint such things, and if we see something unusual, and we have been covering and discussing this aspect since long, but what do you think that when it comes to the governance issues there, what do you think that what more needs to be done beyond the military operations or the military application there to target the root cause of such kind of traps in which actually the educated youth of Balochistan is involved?
Thank you very much for pointing out this very important aspect. Look, these insecurities and instabilities, they don't, they are not found in the battlefields only. Battlefield is not the main reason of these insecurities and instabilities. The poor governance is the corridors of poor governance are the places from where these things they erupt. So exactly, we need to improve upon our governance. Now look at the situation in Kuram. I give you an example. The Kuram whole situation that started off some land disputes and no document, poor documentation of the land records. So I think it started from there. It took the shape of the sectarian fight. Then it was hijacked by Taliban. So lot many negative things happened. So that primarily started off a bad governance. So governance is most important. You need to govern your country, your provinces very well. And in that, the security is most important aspect. The socio-economic development is the most important aspect. Once there is a poverty, once there are the socio-economic deprivation, that gives the best breeding ground for the recruitment, for the radicalization, even for the subversions. So you have spoken about the education institutes. Now, there are lot many serious efforts, serious applications, serious application of the institutions are directly targeted for the subversion. So that is a very serious attack on our education system, on our youth, especially they are being targeted, and our women are being targeted. So there comes governance, there comes the intelligence systems, there comes your syllabus, your curriculum, and most importantly, every household will have to establish a kind of system of monitoring their children. You can't tell them that you can't say that this is the responsibility of a school or a government. Protecting your own children, protecting your home, your daughters is the responsibility of the head of the family. So I think we should be remaining close to our culture, to our social values, to our social norms, and we should keep an eye on our children, especially the youth who are using these gadgetries and they're being targeted. So that's the whole, as I said earlier, it's a whole of a nation approach. The society has to be cognizant of this application and take measures accordingly.
All right, so later I'll ask you to please shed light on the sense of deprivation and actual deprivation also, because there is a lot of sense of deprivation. They are not that much deprivated from the resources. We'll discuss about that as well. Please stay with us. We are joined by Hassan Khan, who's security analyst. Hassan Khan, welcome to the show. What do you think that how important is the regional intelligence sharing and the international cooperation in sustaining Pakistan's counter-terrorism success when it comes to the intelligence-based operations or intelligence sharing, especially in Balochistan and especially while dealing with the proxies?
Thank you very much. I think as for, this, especially, let me say something about this incident that happened in Karachi, where the terrorists tried to strike the commercial capital of Pakistan. From the first day when I was looking at it, there is a method, seems to be a method in this madness. Previously, they were focusing on the faraway lands, sorry, in Balochistan and in the tribal areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. But to get more attention, the reason is that Pakistan's currently is in the limelight, is in the world attention, because Pakistan leadership has done a marvelous job by, I think, saving the world from a big catastrophe, from almost a third world war. Because this Iran and a US conflict, definitely it was having a potential to become a third world war. So Pakistan's got a lot of attentions, a lot of good press, a lot of good image, and people were looking, especially, I think, not the regional, the extra regional countries were also looking at Pakistan as a honest broker, as an honest mediators. But these enemies of Pakistan, just to get to divert that attention of the world and portray Pakistan as an insecure land, a country which is fighting inside with facing terrorism inside its own territory, and portray Pakistan as an unstable country. So I think we have to look at it. And unfortunately, I'm observing that no doubt the Afghan press and the Indian press and the Afghan diaspora, the way they are projecting it, and seems to be they seems to be very happy, and they are instead of, I think, being a human being, I think no human being will say good about a terrorist act that may happen anywhere in the world. So that is Pakistan's problem, is to fight this war not only at a single front, on a multiple front, and specifically on this narrative fronts. Indian digital ecosystems, that is, I think, wholly focused on Pakistan. Now the Israelis have joined it. Afghan is already, I think, anti-Pakistan, especially the current regime. So we have to now, this is the time to get engaged the world, and especially the regional countries. Just a few days before, the European Union special representative for Afghanistan, he was very vocal in admitting that TTP is a terrorist organization. Taliban are providing them a safe havens. They are enjoying a free ride in Afghanistan. Just before him, it was the UK special representative who admitted it, that the TTP is inside Afghanistan, especially in Kabul. They have a support from Kabul and Kandahar, and Pakistan has the right to strike where it feels the threat to its citizen or its soil is emerging. So the world is, I think, especially and in the regional countries, just I think it was a week back when there was a statement from the collective security treaty organizations, and
All
they
right,
were
Hassan
saying
Khan. All
that
right, Hassan
Afghanistan
Khan.
is a threat to
Hassan
region.
Khan, you have rightly mentioned and raised a very valid concern, but considering this point, considering the Pakistani position right now, do you really think that can Pakistan maintain its credibility as a regional mediator while dealing with the terrorist attacks at home?
Yeah, definitely. I think as before me, General Zahid, he rightly pointed it out that yes, we have to now have a whole of the nation approach. It is not only the security forces which will fight these terrorists. I think the whole nation, whether it is media, whether it is the religious clergy, whether the political leadership, whether the provincial government, the police, and every person from A to Z, I think we need to be sensitized to the aims and the objectives of these terrorists and the people behind them. So Pakistan has the capacity, Pakistan security forces has the capacity, and the people of Pakistan have the capacity. They have the resilience to fight it. But here, I think the responsibility also lies on the regional countries, especially those who are publicly expressing their concerns about a security threat emanating from Afghanistan. So I think this is also their responsibility. Look, now the world is getting changed. This is the South Asia, now the South Asia, the West Asia, in the Central Asia. They are merging together. So this whole block is going to be, I think, offering big opportunity for every country, and this region is going to get developed and prosper. So now only Afghanistan is a thorn in this whole process, I think, and Afghanistan is right in the middle of South, West, and Central Asia. So this is the time for the regional countries and the international community that the era of proxies is gone. I think a country or a government which is calling itself a legitimate government, if it is keeping proxies, I think they are endangering the peace of the world. They are causing instability to the region and to the world at large. So I think this is now the responsibility of these whole the region to get together to sit and convince or either pressurize or do something which force the Afghan Taliban to stop, I think, to change their behavior, particularly not only to their own people, particularly as for keeping these terrorist hideouts, preventing Afghanistan to be a hub of terrorist networks, etc. So I think, as for the people of Pakistan, the government of Pakistan, we have the capacity, we have the resilience, and we have the experience, I think. We have fought almost for the last 20 years, and we are still, I think, fresh not suffering from any fatigue. But I think this is the time
Could be
that
done by the
Pakistan
regional
needs to
intelligence sharing. Obviously, it could be done by the regional intelligence sharing with the countries and obviously with India and with the world as well, because we have been providing with those years. We have been raising a voice in a very peaceful manner, but now the situation is quite worse. We have been dealing with that since long, as Pakistan is getting the prominence, and still we are dealing with such kind of proxies, such kind of attacks here. And we have been offering the concessions to Afghan Taliban regimes. Still their land is being used against us. And from Moscow format consultation to Doha talks, there are a lot of situations, there are a lot of moments when we both come to the table, but still all in vain. Thank you so much, Hassan Khan, for joining in. We were joined by Hassan Khan, who's a security analyst, and we were discussing about the crisis which Pakistan is facing right now, that is cross-border terrorism, and Pakistan is carrying out intelligence-based operations. General Zahid, as we were discussing about the role of governance, especially in Balochistan, so the people should not fall in the trap. So can you please shed light on the non-kinetic aspects of it, as we have discussed about the governance, but there is a lot of misinformation. There are a lot of channels in India that are being run in Balochi language to target the Balochi population, to target the youth there. So how should Pakistan's, counter disinformation and hybrid warfare aimed at damaging its international image, and especially during the very important diplomatic initiatives?
Mahnoor, as I said earlier, that the application in Balochistan is strategic in nature. The elements and factors which you are highlighting, it belongs to that strategic application. And yes, of course, this is a very serious in nature. That's why our approach in Balochistan has to be all-inclusive. It must cover the political aspects, the governance aspect. I exactly know what you are hinting at, that a lot has been spent in Balochistan, a lot of progress has taken place in Balochistan, and even their education budget is far better than any other province of Pakistan. Their health budget is far better than any per capita budget is far better than any other province of Pakistan. But of course, unfortunately, there are elements inside Pakistan also who take full advantage of these, this kind of a false narrative which has been established about Balochistan. Once they talk about the deprivations, yes, there are deprivations. I don't say that it's hunky dory. Everything is very good and it's most prosperous province. It's not like that. But these deprivations are there in Punjab. These deprivations are there in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, even in Sindh, in Gilgit, Baltistan, Kashmir. These things, most of things also are missing in these provinces as well. But nobody, start talking about or start exploiting it in the anti-Pakistan mode. So that is very dangerous phenomena. So these are being exploited, and then these things are picked up and choreographed, and then through the disinformation cells, these are exploited by the Indians. So they try to create that narrative. We all know their previous, disinformation lab incident, or those projects were right in front of the whole world. So we understand they're master in that. So they exploit it. What we need to do is, as I said earlier, once I talk of the whole of a nation approach, we have to create our own narrative. For the
Exactly.
first time in our life, we are telling the whole world our story. Pakistan's story is being told to the world by the Pakistanis. So that's the performance which Pakistan has done in Marka-e-Haq. In diplomatic domain, the performance is in front of you in the form of Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding. And inshallah, we once in the past as well, we have won this war against terrorism. And again, we'll inshallah win this war. But as far as socio-economic development, political things, those are concerned, that has to be addressed. Yes, our governments
You
are
have
following.
rightly mentioned, your point is well taken. Thank you so much, General Retired Zahid Mahmood sir, for joining. And we were joined by Major General Retired Zahid Mahmood, who's defense analyst, and we were trying to unfold the different aspects of actually this cross-border terrorism, which Pakistan is facing right now and carrying out their intelligence-based operations. While there are a lot of things which we obviously dealing within Pakistan, but there are a lot of crises that are unfolding beyond the border of Pakistan. And as Pakistan is playing an important role in the regional crisis, Pakistan is playing an important role in mediating between US and Iran. And despite the Iran-US ceasefire, tensions in the Middle East remain high, and Iran and US continue to exchange attacks and accuse each other of violating the truce, while US has launched the fresh strikes on Iranian targets and warned Tehran against the further escalations. And at the same time, Washington has announced a trilateral framework with Israel and Lebanon to prevent another front of conflict, highlighting that while the ceasefire has paused large-scale fighting, the region remains far away from the stability. To discuss about that, to unfold different aspects of this warfare, we are joined by Sardar Masood Khan, who's former ambassador of Pakistan to UN, US and China, and he is the former president of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Masood Khan sir, welcome to the show. Considering the current situation in the Middle East and the recent ceasefire brokered by Pakistan between US and Iran, what do you think, that has the Iran-US ceasefire effectively reduced the risk of tensions there, or is it just a strategic pause?
Well, I would say that there are two angles which are important from the point of view of Pakistan. One is Pakistan's role as a mediator. And although Pakistan brokered the Memorandum of Understanding, and when the problems arose, Pakistan moved quickly to Lake Lucerne and fixed the problems that were emerging. So that was a success, and everybody was hoping that the ceasefire would continue, that it could be sustained. And the second aspect is that this ceasefire that has been put together, or the agreements that have been made and signed by the two sides, they remain fragile, as it has been demonstrated by the exchange of attacks in the past 48 hours. So, and also the situation in Lebanon is very fluid. There are many sticking points. One is, of course, the Strait of Hormuz. Everybody thought that the Strait of Hormuz, the problem has been wrapped up. There would be freedom of navigation through the strait, and there would be no more problems. In fact, an additional assurance was given that a hotline had been established between Tehran and Washington. And therefore, if there was any problem, they'd get in touch with each other instantaneously and resolve the problem. But, you know, the whole thing started with the Strait of Hormuz attacks and counterattacks. And so I think that although these attacks should not have happened, their scale is not big enough to undermine the entire negotiating process. I mean, this is my conclusion, because neither the United States nor Iran want a full-fledged war, because that would be devastating not only for Iran and the United States, but for the entire world.
All right, so what do you think, that how do these latest US strikes on Iranian targets affect obviously the credibility of ceasefire, because it is questioning the governance of ceasefire, and actually it is an issue, because when it comes to Gaza or when it comes to any other country, after ceasefire, the most important and most problematic thing is the governance of ceasefire. What do you think about it?
Well, I think that this is a controversial issue. We thought that this had been resolved and wrapped up. during the negotiations, and it also finds a mention in the 14-point memorandum of understanding. But as I pointed out earlier, that they hadn't established an operational hotline. Now, about the sovereignty, Iran says that it has exclusive sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, although it has been in negotiations with Oman, because Oman is the other littoral state, I mean, in front of Iran's territory. And it is trying to work out some formula. At some point, it said that probably it would consult other littoral states or other states in the Persian Gulf. So obviously, this problem has not been resolved, and Iran understands the pivotal importance of the strait for the United States, for its allies, and for the international community. So that's why I think that when the next round of negotiations takes place, and let's hope that it does take place on schedule, then this problem should be resolved before all other problems, because the nuclear issue and the relief of sanctions, sanctions imposed by the United States, United Nations, and International Atomic Energy Agency on Iran from time to time, and the frozen assets of Iran. These are also very, very difficult issues. So before that, I think they should resolve this issue of the Strait of Hormuz, because otherwise it would continue to cast its shadow over the negotiating process.
But in the recent situation, Sardar Masood, what do you think that what actual strategy or long-term strategy US is designing for Iran, and what message do the President Trump's renewed warning to Tehran send about the Washington's actually long-term strategy for the Middle Eastern countries, for the Gulf as well?
You know, throughout this war, President Trump, in his characteristic way, has been either issuing very, very strong statements threatening Iran. And at one point, he said that he would obliterate the entire civilization of Iran and so on. And that messaging has continued. I think this is partially meant to appease his own constituencies within the United States. But then he has made many concessions, and probably he thinks that this is how the best deal-making can be done. But I think that the memorandum of understanding on which he has signed is a gift to Iran and to the Gulf region if it is executed faithfully, and if it leads to its logical conclusion as envisaged by both the parties. Then Iran and the Gulf region would become interdependent. They would become stakeholders, not only in economic reconstruction and development for the region, particularly in Iran, they would also become stakeholders in the regional security. So I think it's a brilliant idea. The only thing is that what they agreed to in the Memorandum of Understanding, this can be a historic document for generations to come. If it is implemented, as I said, faithfully, then
most important thing, Sardar Masood Sahab, if it is implemented, that's the most important thing. It is not being implemented as it was thought to be implemented. So what do you think, that can actual diplomacy succeed while military operations are continue on the ground with the mediating efforts of the third party, and how is Iran likely to respond to continued US military pressure without formally violating the ceasefire? What needs to be done in this regard by Iran, and what needs to be done by the mediators, because they are having actual pressure while mediating, and it is actual a lot of pressure while mediating between the two states, and still there are a lot of violations after that. What needs to be done by the mediators in this scenario?
They should bridge the differences between the two sides. I mean, there's always a role for Pakistan and Qatar. Qatar also emerged as one of the mediators towards the end of the entire process. And it has good relations with Tehran and Washington. So that's an asset too. But Pakistan has the primary responsibility to bridge differences between the two sides whenever such fissures appear. And I'm sure that right now Pakistan is in touch with both sides to de-escalate the situation. But let me tell you that, very frankly, there's one wild card, which is Israel, because Israel has not signed up on the Iran US deal, or as it is emerging, I mean, including the Memorandum of Understanding. And the other is this closure of the situation in Lebanon. It doesn't look likely, because Israel is not likely to withdraw itself from the occupied territory or ceasefire. On the other hand, there are many other complications. For instance, Israel is not happy with the kind of deal that the President of the United States is negotiating with Iranian leaders. What he wants is a space for implementing its own strategic ambitions. And its ambition is to have greater Israel in the region, the entire tract of land that is between the Euphrates and the Nile. The Israeli leaders think that this has been promised to them by God Almighty in the Holy Book, their own Holy Book, the Torah. So that being the case, it's very difficult to de-escalate the situation. It's beyond the remit of Pakistan also, because Pakistan's influence is with the United States of America, and it can influence in Israel indirectly through Washington, not directly because it doesn't have diplomatic relations with Israel. And the third factor that I would like to point out is that Israel had that plan, a two-pronged attack on Iran, which was one from Balochistan and Sistan of Iranian territory, and one from Kurdistan. And it has been under the American pressure and some Turkish pressure. It has been held in abeyance. They might well revive it. They still want to target Iran and want to pulverize it from within.
All right. Masood sir, what do you think that, considering the current situation in Middle East, considering the current situation of ceasefire, do you really think that Middle East is witnessing a shift from the direct warfare to a prolonged cycle of continued limited confrontation?
Well, you can't say it with certainty. I hope that the negotiations between the United States and Iran would succeed, and that the Gulf regions, which have also been devastated and their reputation has been destroyed, because the Gulf region was seen as a haven and a hub of peace and security and prosperity. Now that image has been shattered, and they have to rebuild that reputation and rebuild their infrastructure. So I hope, and let's not forget that Iran and the Gulf countries are the richest countries, resource-wise and also in terms of GDP, in the entire Islamic Ummah. So I think that it is in the interest of the Muslim countries, Arab countries, and also the United States, I mean, it's a close ally of the Gulf region, that normalcy returns and economic activity is resumed. It would be a win-win situation for everybody. The spanner, of course, is Israel, and there is a backlash about Israel in the United States, because at the popular level, at the level of the people, there are many voices being raised, very angry voices, saying that why should America be hostage to Israel, a country of 9 million people, and that it drags United States again and again to the Middle East for wars which do not benefit the United States. So I think that as President Trump and the mediators and also Iran have envisaged a very, very different transformative future for the Gulf and the Middle East, let's work on that and let's not lose heart.
That's very pertinent. Thank you so much, Sardar Masood Khan, sir, for joining in Views at 7. We were joined by Sardar Masood Khan, who were sharing his point of view regarding actual issues which we are trying to unfold, the bone of contention in the Middle East, why there are a lot of violations of ceasefire and why the world is suffering since months. And we discussed it with Sardar Masood Khan, who's former ambassador of Pakistan to US, China and UN, and he's former president of AJK. So as we are unfolding different aspects of warfare in the region and in this time, it's a fifth generation of warfare. It is not about the military warfare only. Sometimes it is about the warfare of narrative. Sometimes it is about the warfare of water as well. So now I'm going to discuss about the water warfare or the water weaponization, which we are facing in Pakistan right now, as water security is emerging as a major geopolitical challenge in South Asia as concerns grow over the India's suspensions of Indus Water Treaty and the construction of several hydropower projects on rivers shared with Pakistan, with arbitrations ruling questioning some Indian projects and New Delhi continuously rejecting those decisions of the weaponization of water and its implementation for regional stability are intensifying and which we are facing right now. To discuss about that, to unfold this issue, to unfold the water weaponization in South Asia, and which is actually impacting the livelihood of people, the economy, the food security, and obviously the sense of security among the people. To discuss about that, we are joined by Dr. Hassan Abbas, who is international water resource expert and hydrologist. Dr. Hassan, welcome to the show. What do you think that considering this current situation, how serious is the threat posed by India's suspension of the Indus Water Treaty to, long-term water security or water safety of Pakistan and its people?
Okay, thank you for highlighting this very important aspect of India's waters weaponization and how serious this threat is. I think this is pretty serious. As long as we don't pay any heed to it, it can become even more serious. And what they are doing is not just planning to impact the water resources of Pakistan, but they are trying to set a precedence for all over the world for the shared water resources between the two countries. And Pakistan's response in this regards would not just save Pakistan, but would also set a precedence to the world that how important it is for the rights of the lower riparians, because Pakistan is not the only country in the world which is a lower riparian. There are tons of different countries which are lower riparians, and any precedent which India is trying to set right now and the way Pakistan counters it would be something very important, not just for Pakistan, but for the international customary law of the world that is at stake right now. Yes.
All right. So, Dr. Hassan, when we talk about such kind of issues, especially between the two countries, we always look up to the international institutions. What do you think that can international arbitration mechanism effectively enforce treaty obligation when one party rejects the ruling or one party is not willing to abide by the rules or the conditions in the treaty?
Okay, there are a couple of aspects, a couple of dimensions actually to this whole saga which India is trying to create. One is the treaty. It's an international treaty agreed between the two countries since 1962, and it was not a treaty when this whole thing was signed. It was signed as an annexure to a funding agreement in 1960, and it was India which took this annexure of a funding agreement to the United Nations to be registered as an international treaty. And at that time, Pakistan did not object to it. And it became an international treaty. And now Vienna Convention and other international forums, they actually govern the how international treaties are to be maintained and respected among the nations of the world. So that is one aspect, that they are clearly violating a treaty. So they are subject to, I think, Article 69 of Vienna Convention, the way they are basically violating this treaty. Second, within the treaty itself, there is a mechanism of dispute resolution, and through that, a court of arbitration can be assembled And that court of arbitration has been assembled in this regards, and the court has clearly given their verdict that India is violating the treaty. But
All
beyond
right.
the treaty, there are other conventions, international conventions, like the UN Convention of 1997 of International Water Law, like the Geneva Convention, like the Helsinki Rules of 1966, like the Berlin Rules of 2024, and like the uh, uh, international human rights laws, IHL. All these forums are available to Pakistan because India is not just violating the treaty. India is also violating the international human rights. India is also violating the Berlin rules. India is also violating 1997 International Water Convention. India is also violating the environmental laws which are emerging in the world. For example, the laws of ecocide, which are coming up as Rome Statute. They are also making statements which amount to committing war crimes according to Geneva Convention. So on the international forum, we have several places where we can actually launch a case, legal case against India, like start with the International Court of Arbitration, which looks at the treaty. And the International Court of Arbitration tells them that you violated the treaty. Vienna Convention, if we go according to that, then in ICJ, International Court of Justice, we can file a separate case that they are violating Vienna Convention. Then we can again file a separate case in which we can tell them, for example, at a UN Human Rights Council, that they are violating human rights. And we can again go to ICJ with a separate case that they are violating the environmental laws and they are going to commit ecocide. And we can go to ICC, International Criminal Court, where we can very clearly file cases against their individuals, like their prime minister, who says that we will not let a drop of water flow to Pakistan, which is a war crime. So these different international legal forums, we should do a legal encirclement of India on all these forums where, for example, the International Court of Arbitration tells them that you violated the
All right,
treaty.
you have rightly said, Dr. Hassan, you have rightly said that these are all the war crimes that are committed by India. It is not about the water issue only, it is about the human rights issue, it is about the environmental issue, and there are a lot of platforms on which we need to raise our voice. Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan, for joining in. We were joined by Dr. Hassan Abbas, who is international water resource expert and hydrologist. And that's it from tonight's Views at 7. In tonight's show, we tried to unfold different strategic issues which Pakistan is facing on the front line. We have discussed about the terrorism issue, the cross-border terrorism issue, the intelligence-based operations which Pakistan is carrying right now. We have already discussed about the water weaponization of India and how would it impact the people of Pakistan, how would it impact the economy, how would it impact the human rights, how would it impact the environment here. And then we have discussed about, obviously, the current situation of Middle East. That's it. This is your host, Mahnoor, Qureshi, signing off. Keep watching Pakistan TV.